Okay. So this is the solution to part 6 of the problem 4, the review tutorial. In this part, we analyze the second degree price discrimination. So we are given that the total payment Pn by type n will be in the form of Fn plus Pn times Xn, right? So here the Fn is the fixed part, the fixed fee, and Pn is the variable fee multiplied by the quantity. So we will begin our analysis by assuming that the P2, so type 2 consumers, pay some price P bar, and P1 is equal to the marginal cost of the providing the health insurance to type 1 consumers. Okay, and of course here the level of insurance X2 for type 2 consumers will depend on P bar, okay, and the consumer surplus that they will receive also will depend on P bar. So it depends on how high or how low this price would be. Okay, so let's just take a look at this graph first, at the graph how the monopolist is going to behave. Okay, so this is the graph. Recall that for type 1 consumers, right, these ones, so the black demand function, we said that, we actually said we assume, but it makes total sense, perfect sense here to set the price equal to the marginal cost of the provision of health insurance to type 1 consumers, so which is 8, right? So this is going to be our quantity, right, demanded, and then why do we set it equal to marginal cost? Well, because we want to provide as much quantity as possible and extract as much consumer surplus as from based on that quantity from consumer 1. Okay, now for remember, in the second degree price discrimination, we're not gonna provide the efficient quantity to type 2 consumer or low value customer, right? Why? Because we're selecting the price and quantity packages such that the consumers will self-select, right? So we can't observe who is what type, but we are creating packages such that the consumers will self-select and will choose the right package designed for them. But if you recall from the lecture, to maximize the profit, to sell the efficient quantity to the low valued customer, okay, is not a profit maximizing strategy, right? So what will happen is that monopolists will cut or reduce the quantity of the low valuation customer, right? Because by giving up this triangle as a so this is a consumer surplus of type 2 consumers that the monopolist would have extracted, okay, had this monopolist charged the price equal to marginal cost 6, but the monopolist is willing to forego this profit, right? So this consumer surplus of type 2 consumers in order to obtain, okay, a bigger, see this this is not even a trapezoid, this is a parallelogram, this part of the consumer surplus of type 1 consumers, right? So he's facing a trade-off and he's willing to forego this exchange as long as the gain, the marginal benefit from consumer 1 is greater than the marginal cost, the marginal loss from consumer 2. Okay, so let's see. So, and that's why we need to determine this quantity, right, which will depend on some price P bar, okay, which, by the way, I drew here above the marginal cost 1, so, but it actually can be anywhere between 10 and 6, right, because the relevant marginal cost for type 2 consumers is 6. Okay, so let's see how this will look mathematically. Okay, so mathematically, if the monopolist says P2 equal to P bar, okay, so the quantity demanded is going to be, just using the normalized demand function, 10 minus P bar, not just P but P bar, divided by 10, so this is normalized demand, okay, and the consumer surplus of type 2 consumers is going to be 10 minus P bar squared. Actually, it's 1/2 of 10 minus P bar divided by 10 multiplied by 10 minus P bar. And so what you get here is 10 minus P bar squared over 2 multiplied by 10. So let's see why I wrote this. This is our consumer surplus, right, that we want to find. This is going to be 10 minus P bar, so that's the distance, right? And we'll multiply it by this distance, which is x2 P bar, which is 10 minus P bar over 10, right, using the normalized demand function. So I multiply both sides of this right triangle and multiply by 1 over 2, so that's going to be the area of this triangle, which is a consumer surplus of type 2 consumers. And that's how I get this consumer surplus of consumer type 2 consumers. Okay, so that is going to be our fee. Now let us see, okay, let us express this fee in full and answer the question in part 7. So in part 7, we are asked why would the second degree price discriminating monopolist set F2 equal to consumer surplus from consumer surplus of a type 2 consumer once she has found out what P bar should be, and find this total payment P2, which depends on P bar, made by type 2 consumers to the monopolist. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. Alright, so we see that type 2 consumers, when faced with price P bar, receive the consumer surplus which we just found. Right, and now we know that this fixed fee will be equal exactly to this consumer surplus. Why? Well, to maximize her profit from selling to type 2 consumers, the monopolist should extract the whole consumer surplus in terms of the fixed fee, right? So recall that if the monopolist charges P bar, a variable fee, and multiplies by x2 bar, P bar, so he gets this revenue, this rectangle, right? Now what is the profit? The profit is going to be P bar minus 6 multiplied by that quantity, so which is the area of this smaller rectangle. Now how to maximize the profit? Can the monopolist get even more profit? Yes, if he extracts this consumer surplus from the consumers and makes it her own profit. Okay, that's why the fixed fee will be equal to the consumer surplus of type 2 consumers. Okay, then type 2 consumers pay this fee, right? So this is actually a two-part tariff, so this is a fixed fee which is equal to consumer surplus plus the variable fee multiplied by the quantity, right? So this is going to be a two-part tariff, and for type 2 consumers. Okay, this concludes the solution to part 6 and 7 of this problem.